keep moving down.
If you keep on moving down, there's plenty down in front of our choir, so if you keep moving, please. It's just a few more people who are joining us. Okay, good morning. Welcome to our COVID-19 Day of Reflection. We stand here together, here at the Lambeth Bridge end of the UK National COVID Memorial Wall. 1/2 kilometre of hearts, nearly 250,000 of them, each for one person who has died in the UK with COVID recorded as a cause of death on their death certificate. I'm Kirsten. I lost my mum to COVID early in the pandemic, and I'm one of the Friends of the Wall, the 10 volunteers who main and restore this monument to our beloved dead. All of the volunteers here are COVID bereaved and have lost people that are dear to them. I'll quickly tell you a little bit about how this part of the ceremony will start. We'll have some music from a wonderful Hesperus choir, and then we'll invite our speakers to come to the microphone. But to begin, we're going to light a candle in memory of all of those beautiful souls who are represented by the hearts on our wall. We know that people watching at home, following our live stream, will be doing the same thing in memory of their loved ones. And as candles are lit across the 4 nations of the United Kingdom, we will remember together. As we do this, I'd like to invite the Hesperus Choir to sing to us.
So
That was Good Night, Dear Heart by Dan Forrest. I'd now like to invite our first speaker to come to the microphone. We're honoured to have the Mayor of Lambeth, Councillor John Paul Ennis.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and most importantly, families and friends gathered here today and who are watching online. It's an honour to stand here as we come together to remember, reflect, and to pay tribute to those we have lost through COVID. Here at the National COVID Memorial Wall, every heart painted on these stones represents a life. Each one cherished, each one mourned. Grief is personal, yet here it is shared. It's not just a wall, it's a testament to love and to loss, a symbol to the resilience of families and a permanent reminder of the impact this pandemic has had on our community, our country, and our world. Lambeth, like so many communities, felt the weight of this crisis deeply. We lost neighbours, colleagues, friends, and family members. Our care workers, NHS staff, and key workers stood on the front lines, risking their own health to protect others. The sacrifices they made and the courage that they showed will never be forgotten. But amid the grief, we also saw incredible acts of kindness. People looking out for one another, delivering food to the vulnerable, checking in on those who are alone. That spirit of unity and compassion is what carried us through the darkest of days. Today, as we remember those we have lost, we also reaffirm our commitment to honour their memory, not just in words, but in action. We must continue to support those still living with the long-term effects of the virus, to care for those who are grieving, and to ensure that our society emerges from this tragedy stronger, fairer, and more prepared for the future. To the families here today, your loss is immeasurable, and no words can truly ease the pain. But please know that your loved ones are remembered, and their names are held in the hearts of this community. Let this wall stand not just as a reminder of what we endured, but as a call to always cherish one another, to protect the most vulnerable among us, and to build a world that values every life. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from the MP for this constituency, the home of our memorial wall, Flo Eshalomi, MP for Vauxhall and Camberwell Green.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Florence Eshalomi, the Member of Parliament for this area, and I just want to start by paying a tribute to everyone who's here today and to the many thousands joining us online. And thanks to Fran, Lorelli, and all the volunteers of the Friends of the Wall. They work all year round, making sure that this wall is preserved. In the rain, in the sun, in the snow, they are here working. I also want to thank the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport for her ongoing support and the grant for this event. My colleagues, the Right Honourable Pat McFadden MP, Abena Apongasare, and Bell Ribera Addy MP. And apologies from Helen Hayes, the Member of Parliament for Dulwich and West Norwood. We gather here today to mark a significant milestone as we continue to remember all the people who've been impacted by COVID-19 5 years on. I know that for so many of you, today's anniversary will be very personal and a very painful moment when we think about the 230-odd thousand who've lost their lives. But if we're honest, those victims are more than a number. They were husbands, they were wives, they were sisters, they were brothers, they were grandparents, they were friends, they were colleagues. And I remember speaking to the family of Ismail Mohammed Abdulwali, a 13-year-old who was one of the youngest victims at that time, and feeling the pain of his mother because she could not be there to hold her son. Many of you didn't have those last minutes, and this wall is a tribute for you to remember all those loved ones. So I welcome the government's commitment to this National Day of Reflection. It's a chance to remember the many sacrifices that so many people took the sacrifices from our teachers, our doctors, our health professions. I pay tribute to them for all their work, volunteering at often great personal risks to help people during a pandemic. I'm proud to have this memorial wall in my constituency and to have St Thomas's Hospital here and King's College Hospital nearby. Both saved many lives throughout this pandemic, working under tremendous stress, treating so many people, including the then Prime Minister, to make sure people were surviving. So today is not just a chance for us to look back and reflect, it's about how we honour those who died. It's about how we remember people who are still living with the effects of COVID-19. It's about making sure as a country we never pay that high price again going forward, and we learn the lessons as it was shown in the inquiry. And it's about how we build a fairer, more equal and just society where everyone can have access to healthcare. I would close by saying that your work and your legacy is vital. And as the Member of Parliament with this area, working with Lambeth Council, the Mayor of London and the government, I pledge to be a voice for all the victims and to work to get that justice and to ensure that this wall is permanent. Thank you.
Thank you, Flo. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of our greatest supporters who has been so generous with her time and her help, Councillor Claire Holland, leader of Lambeth Council.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for being here today. I also want to extend my deepest gratitude to the Friends of the Wall for their courage and incredible dedication to preserving this space of remembrance, ensuring that the lives lost to COVID-19 are never forgotten, and for your considerable work today in organising the event and creating this as a space for us all nationally. As a council, and I personally as leader of Lambeth, remain absolutely committed to the work of ensuring the wall is preserved as a permanent national memorial to those we have loved and lost. I want to acknowledge all the families here today who have lost loved ones, the frontline workers who risked their lives to care for us, and the community members who stepped up at the most difficult of times to support one another. The scale of loss is staggering, but these are not just statistics. They represent families forever changed, futures cut short and communities left grieving. Lambeth Council and other public institutions, individuals, businesses, communities, voluntary groups, we came together. We pulled together as a community. It was this collaboration that literally kept some people alive, kept families fed, the lonely befriended and the homeless housed. As a council, Lambeth is utterly committed to working with our communities to strengthen cohesion across our borough and ensure all residents feel confident in safe and equal access to our services. Together we can continue to build an inclusive, more equitable and compassionate community that stands strong in the face of any challenge. And I look forward to continuing to work with you all and to work with the Friends of the Wall to preserve this unique and moving memorial for us all. Thank you.
We were so delighted when the UK Commission on COVID commemoration, headed by Baroness Nicky Morgan, recommended that the wall be made permanent. We're equally delighted to welcome Felicia Kwaku, OBE, Commissioner from the UK Commission on COVID commemoration.
Good morning, everyone. I'm quite emotional, so bear with me if I stutter a bit. So my name is Felicia Kwaku. I am a nurse. I work at King's College Hospital. I'm also a commissioner on the COVID Memorial, and I'm really privileged and honoured to be here with you this morning. I want to say thank you to the Friends of the Wall for inviting me, and I once again express my sincere condolences to all the families, relatives, colleagues who lost loved ones during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I worked on the front line during COVID-19. I remember many things. I remember basically living at the hospital with many colleagues at the time. I remember that comforting and consoling many loved ones and patients. Some patients knew that they were going to pass, and some patients didn't. I remember many of us not stopping crying for at least 2 to 3 years. It was very, very difficult, and it's difficult being here now. I remember really good teamwork as well. When you're faced in a pandemic, you don't know whether it's going to end, you don't know whether you're going to catch COVID, but I remember the teamwork bringing us all together. I remember on a Friday, my uncle took sick, and I was at work at the hospital, and my cousin called me, and by the time I got to St. George's, he'd already gone into the ITU, and on the Sunday, he died. So when you're a healthcare worker on the line, and then your loved one passes away, completely changes your perspective, and your anxiety goes up, and lots of other things. And I remember many of us, whether we had faith or not, praying together for protection and for those that we were caring for. So as I stand here before you, I pray that all the efforts for the COVID memorial are made permanent. I hope that we give you, as healthcare workers, some level of assurance that we did our absolute best to care and love for your loved ones that got sick and that died. And I pray that we will never, ever forget our loved ones that pass away. Just because the COVID-19 is not here anymore doesn't mean that we still hurt and have pain. So let us never, ever forget them, and let us never, ever forget those who died in service to us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. And now I'd like to invite two of our wonderful fundraisers, Claire Burrell and Jyoti Giannati, to speak. Claire and Jo have walked 1,000 miles for the wall, and we are honoured that they are here with us today.
Good morning. This wall is a special place for so many people, and the volunteers who work tirelessly to keep it going are amazing. We, like you, cannot be here every week, but we do what we can to support the upkeep of the wall. Fundraising helps to keep the memories alive. In 2023, me and my dear friend Jyoti walked 1,000 miles around the country to raise funds. We reached as far west as Dartmouth and as far northeast to the top of Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh. We placed 78 memory pebbles around the country. They sit on mountain tops, hilltops, moors, bridges, beaches. They sit in caves, castles and churches. There's a particularly special one that sits under the watchful eye of the Cowes Yacht Squadron amongst the cannons on the Isle of Wight. However, our efforts are no more important than anyone else's. Whether you're purchasing memorial items like the special works of art that are available, or trek through Poland, every gesture ensures that the volunteers know that they've got support for their selfless efforts. Like you, we have that moment we'll never forget. On a freezing cold night in March 2020, standing with my brother Tim in his garden and him receiving that call. His wife Myrna, the mother of her children Angus and Lois, a much loved family member and friend of many, had passed away. None of you, like us, will forget your moment, and the UK Wall of Grief and Love Sitting amongst us in the day-to-day rush of everyday life is a strangely peaceful and tranquil place where we can reflect and remember our loved ones, not just today on the day of reflection, but every day of the week. Thank you.
Thank you both. That pebble on the Isle of Wight is close to where my mum was, by the way, so I didn't know she was going to say that, so thank you. And finally, I'd like to invite my fellow volunteer and our dear friend Lynn Jones, MBE, to speak on behalf of the volunteers, the Friends of the Wall.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Hello everyone, can you hear me now? Yes. Yeah, okay. I am Lynn Jones, as Kirsten said, and I'm proud to be, if I get emotional, it's okay, I will do it. I am proud to be a friend of the wall. Thank you all for coming today. We're all united in our grief, and thank you to our honoured guests for joining us today. Thank you to the MPs that have joined us today. We did invite all the MPs, and we hope those who can't make it will support events in their own constituencies. Gareth, my husband Gareth. I lost my precious husband Gareth, unbelievably, to COVID on March the 1st, 2021. He was a fit and healthy 66-year-old, and I will never recover from what happened to him. We were robbed so horrifically of our lives together. He was in hospital for 7 weeks battling this virus on his own, which takes me and my family's grief to another level. Professionally, Gareth was a much-loved principal in Stoke-on-Trent, where we live. The city was shocked by what happened to such a fit man. He was outstanding as a principal. Strict, fair, humble, fun, and adventurous are just a few adjectives to describe him. A selfless, kind man who did not deserve this. None of these people did. Most of all, he was loved by me and our daughters and grandchildren. He only met one grandchild, as 2 have been born since, which is heartbreaking. He would have been the most incredible granddad to them all, and we all miss him dreadfully. What does the wall mean to me? 4 years ago, in April 2021, I arrived at this wall and my son-in-law painted a heart for Gareth. I immediately felt a connection with others doing exactly the same thing because they were all suffering as I was. I met Fran and the other volunteers and began travelling from Stoke-on-Trent every Friday to paint hearts on the wall. There were 152,816 then. Now there are 247,553 hearts on our wall. I needed to come here to help me to survive. Here I could be with others who were suffering like I was. And as we painted hearts together, we shared our collective grief. I was so angry about what happened to Gareth and all the precious people whose lives were taken too soon. For me, this wall is an expression of so many emotions: rage, love, grief, pain, and unbearable sadness. It is also important as an expression of democracy, because this is what the people affected most by the pandemic feel. It is a message to those across the water that this is what happens when you get it wrong. It should stay as a constant reminder of the impact of government decisions. It should stay. It should stay also because it is a refuge for the bereaved. It is a refuge for the bereaved and a symbol of the unbearable loss and pain. It is an honour for the Friends of the Wall to write the name of a loved one on the wall for people who are unable to get to London. The future. We are still striving to make the wall permanent. We have been totally supported by our guests here today. We hope that steps will now be taken to make this happen, as the wall is already part of the landscape in London. We need it to be here and to stay, so that all these people along our wall, like Gareth, like your loved one, that they lost their lives in such horrific circumstances, we never want them to be forgotten. And we want their names always to be there so that people will always remember them. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. I know that was really difficult, so thank you. On behalf of all the volunteers, would like to thank the choir and speakers for being here with us today. You've helped to make this day of reflection a very special day. We would also like to give a very warm special thank you to our wonderful piper, Donald McCrory, who Donald McCrory, who you may have noticed, has selected pieces from each of our 4 home nations to represent the UK today. There have been pieces representing England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. As we move on to the next and final part of our ceremony, I'll just outline what will happen now. Hesperus Choir are going to close the ceremony for us, and as they finish, we'd like to invite everyone to turn toward the river. We'll be passing out flowers, or you can come and take some from the wall, which are just down there at the bottom of the slope. I'm also happy to say that we will shortly have one of the fireboats from Lambeth River Station joining us on the river to pay their respects as we approach midday. At noon, after Big Ben strikes 12, we will observe a minute's silence, remembering those who we lost to COVID-19. At the end of the silence, we invite you to cast your flowers into the river in memory and to watch as the flowers float past our beautiful wall of grief and love. Then, you're welcome to stay and walk the wall or spend time contemplating the nearly 3,000 photographs we're displaying along the whole length of our wall. And of course there'll be refreshments available too at the gazebo to my right, to your left. Can I also just please add, we do have a lot of media here with us today covering the event, of which we're very grateful for your attendance too. And I know that they're really keen to talk to anybody who would be willing to be interviewed. So once the event is over, if you feel up to it and you're happy to be interviewed by the press, could you let Fran know, who I was going to ask to stick a hand up to make herself known. Fran is down towards the end of the wall in one of the orange vests, but if you grab any of the Friends of the Wall team, then we'll be able to point you in the right direction, and Fran will coordinate interviews with the press. In closing, on behalf of all the volunteers, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on this special day to remember our beloved COVID dead. As Lynn very kindly outlined, we do come here every Friday to paint hearts on the wall, to refresh dedications, and to do what we can every single week to remember our COVID dead. And accordingly, as I say, would like to thank you for coming and helping us remember on this COVID-19 day of reflection. And now the Hesperus Choir will sing The Road Home by Stephen Paulus.
The
Thank you. If you turn towards the river, you'll see the riverboat is here, and so there are flowers still here at the wall. So do please come and get one, and the team will still be handing them out.
try and move out the way for them. Let's go that way.
So the fire boat is in position. Hopefully you have your flowers. There are still flowers down here by the on the wall here if anybody doesn't have them. Once Big Ben has struck 12, if you stay please facing the river, and we will then go directly into a minute's silence after the bongs. But please stay facing the river.
I'll wait for everyone to go first. That's it. Always wait for everyone to go. Wherever I am. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yes, all the pictures got going, and then that got going. Who did you lose? My friend lost her husband. I lost my husband. 61. Bring this.
Thank you, everybody. You may see clouds drifting down the middle of the Thames that were dropped from the bridge.